All right, people, what's up? I'm back. Sunday. Today's YouTube video is going to be one of the main events before the main event in my music series. It's going to be Eminem versus Nas. You probably shaking your head like, dude, that video's been done 2 or 3 times. Yeah, but I never gave my take on Eminem versus Nas. And plus, this is the video before you get the main event. So, yeah. All right, let's go with the history of Nas first. Nas started his rap career in late 1988, early 1989. He did do, like, I think 5 songs, but those were battle rap songs. He was just hanging out with a group of guys in New York City, Queens, and he just happened to see a car pass by, and at that time Run DMC just was the new mecca of hip hop in New York City. You know, you had guys like Kumo D, you had guys like LL Cool J, and Nas wanted to be a part of something big and special. So one day they had a talent show, and he went to every single talent show they had, just hard on the mic, just rapping his ass off. And you see, back in New York City, they would give rappers nicknames when they would do this. You would hear names like the conscious rapper, the logical rapper. Guys like Common was doing this, and I'll make a season 2 of this series where I'll go into more history of the logic rapper. But Nas was being dubbed as a logic rapper, and his style was unique with a fresh sound. And often at times he would keep getting compared to yours truly, Tupac Shakur. And by the time we got to 1991, 92, he put out his first album, and it went platinum overnight, sold over 100 copies, and he was a #1 hit on the radio countdown charts. And of course, he ended up doing his first album, but he ended up popping up on Lauryn Hill's album, is where everyone discovered Nas, when she took I Rule the World, and you can hear him rap over that song. And then of course, as the years follow, he got dissed by Tupac, and a lot of people were looking at him like, why would he not go on the mic against his hero? Nas said that Tupac's my hero. He's the biggest inspiration on why I'm doing music. Tupac, Biggie, guys like that. Nas looked up to him and would not want to get on the mic and go against his hero. So he stayed silent, which most rappers, when they get dissed by their favorite hero, their favorite idol, it touches their nerve and they want to go at their own hero. But he stayed humble at that point and not said a word, which it takes a lot of restraint. You keep your mouth closed when you're getting dissed by Tupac in 1995, early 96, takes a lot. He made his song Hate It or Love It. That was another song where he talked about people hating on him, trying to break in the rap game. At that point, Nas put out 2 albums. And then during that time, he ended up doing a movie with DMX and did a movie soundtrack where he would do songs with DMX. So he ended up doing his second album and a movie soundtrack called Belly, and then they made Belly Part 2 for whatever reason. And then after that, he put out album #3. So in 5 years, he put out 3 albums. And then of course he put out Stillmatic. That's when he ended up going back and forth with Jay-Z, and a lot of people don't know how that beef really started. He got tired of going back and forth with Jay-Z. It was over a girl that Jay-Z was with, and then Nas got with the girl, and then Nas said some crap like, ha 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 ha, I got your girl, Jay, what you gonna do? And Jay made a song called Got You, F You, and Nas just couldn't help himself and said, now I'm gonna clap back on the mic. And he made some songs, and Jay-Z responded back to it. It was just like back and forth, back and forth. And then Nas put out Ether, which everyone loves to agree that that's probably by far the best diss. Like, everyone will hail Tupac's diss at #1. Some people will say Biggie's Who Shot You at #2. And then probably at number 3, Ice Cube's diss, and then of course Cypress Hill, and then what Dre did with Easy. A lot of people like to always try to make these countdowns. What was the biggest diss? And they always put Nas's Ether right at number 5. And a lot of people think that because Nas beat Jay-Z in the beef, that behind the scenes these two were actually orchestrating this whole entire thing, because it was to enhance both careers. At that point, Nas had put out album number 4. You know, he put his 4th album out, and then he did some movies, he did some television shows, he wanted to get into acting, and then, you know, he ended up, you know, doing some collaborations with artists like Eminem. You know, he would do some songs with DMX. He ended up, you know, squashing his beef with Jay-Z some 10 years later, and they would end up doing some songs. He started doing songs with other artists on the West Coast, on the East Coast. By the time we approached 2001, he was bankrupt. Right when he was trying to put out album number 5, he went bankrupt. You know, he spent all his money on lavish cars, you know, going to Africa, going to road trips, you know, messing around with different multiple women, cheating on his wife, not once, but 5 times, got divorced twice, got remarried twice, had kids by 2 different women. And, you know, Nas was, you know, he got arrested. You know, he got arrested at least 2 or 3 times. Nobody's perfect. And by the time we got to 2004, he dropped his 5th album. And then he ended up doing some songs with some rappers from the South, you know. And then he ended up putting album number 6 out. By the time he fast approached 2008, he did that song called Be All What You Wanna Be. And he put some controversial lyrics in there when he mentioned the name Oprah that kind of got him in some hot water. You know, so he had put out 6 albums. Then he put his Greatest of All Times album out in 2011, early 2012, and had a total of 7 albums. Now, by the time we approached 2013, 2014, or maybe 2015, he tried to put out album number 8, which didn't make most of its money back. Nobody really at that point was listening to Nas anymore. And he put this song out called Hip Hop's Dead, which really, again, caused controversial stuff. So he went from being this logical rapper to a controversial rapper. You know, and a lot of people looked at Nas and said that his sound of music changed like at least 5 times. And when Nas saw that fans were not interested in his new sound of music, he did what any artist would do. He just went back to his original sound, and he got some of his fan base back. You'd be surprised, he got some of his fans back. You know, after putting out 8 albums, he got his fans back. But a lot of people just wish he would have stayed as the logical rapper, than trying to be a controversial rapper. You know, a lot of times when you get in these beefs, these diss, it takes away from your real talent. And he fell into that, and he ended up having the same problems as a lot of the rappers have in New York City. You know, people stealing his hooks, stealing his music. He had to sue people 5 times for stealing his music without his permission. He went through a lot of stuff in 12 to 13 years. And Nas is a pretty talented cat. A lot of people like to, you know, say, well, he ain't like none of the people today. But you take Nas in his prime, just Nas in his prime, Nas will kill half the guys on the mic in his prime. Now, he ain't in his prime no more, but he still can get on the mic and still give you a run for your money. Now, his albums and songs today may not be as good as it was a decade and a half ago, but people are still listening to the songs of the 1990s and the early 2000s of Nas. You know, everyone's gonna bump I Rule the World, Lauryn Hill, Future Nas. You know, Stillmatic, I hope you got yourself a good. Woke up this morning, I hope you got yourself, I hope you got yourself a gun. You live in the hood, I hope you got yourself a gun. You live in the hood, I hope you got yourself a gun. And of course, Ether, the most hardest song Nas has ever created, you know. And then, you know, Hate Me Now. Nas came out with some killer ass hits back in the heyday. You know, All I Need Is One Mic, Oh yeah, he went hard on the mic in that song. I mean, can't nobody tell you he went hard on the mic on that song. All I need is one mic. So those were some good classical Nas songs. And yeah, he did have a high profile diss on Eminem that tried to resurge and resurrect his rap career. And some people publicize he won that. Some argue he lost that. Some say it's a tie. But he didn't just go to battle with Tupac and then refuse to go against Pac and then have his beef with Jay-Z and then get into it with Eminem. He got into it with a lot of artists in his heyday. And if you look at him today, he's just a chill out guy that just likes to do music and entertain people. He still ain't what he once was, but like I said, Nas in his prime will beat half the people on the mic. Today, he could just give you a run for your money, and that's what we call it. Now we get to Eminem, who lives in Detroit, Michigan. Now, Detroit is a place where it's the lowest of the low. Most people struggle with the idea of not being able to make no money economically, and Eminem was just selling some weed on the street, hanging out with the brothers, and Eminem, like most people, got exposed to the music game at the age of 12, 13 years old, and by the time he turned 14, 15, he wrote his first album with no help. And it wasn't until he turned like 19 or 20 that he got tired of this crackhead breaking in his house and stealing this weed. Like, this crackhead would rob him a total of 8 to 9 times. Eminem put this shit in the refrigerator, crackhead breaking in the house, and find weed in the refrigerator. Eminem put it under the bed, crackhead find it under the bed. Eminem put that shit in the closet, crackhead find that shit in the closet, and he'll be scratching his head like, how the fuck this crackhead breaking my house 8 to 9 times and keep finding my weed? And by the time Eminem came to Los Angeles and tried to, go to Sony and Interscope Records, because that's who he was being signed to at the time, he put out his LP, and his LP fell on deaf ears. Nobody really was listening to him. They just said, wow, here goes another white boy that think he can rap. And he felt very insulted by that, because he felt like, why are you people not giving me a chance? And it wasn't until Dr. Dre noticed this guy had some talent, some raw talent, and Dre had created Aftermath Records and, got on the phone. Hey, yo, do you know who this is? This is Dr. Dre. And Eminem like, dude, stop playing, man. Stop playing games, man. I don't know no Dr. Dre. No, serious, I'm the real Dr. Dre. I know Ice Cube. I know Snoop. I did Tupac Shakur. Come with me, I'll make you a billionaire. Eminem's still like, dude, I don't know who you are. And it wasn't until Dre had to get in the car, come to where Eminem's at, and meet him face to face, eye to eye. And that's when Eminem was like, oh shit, you are the real Dr. Dre. My bad, man. And next thing you know, he does his album again, and we get dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? All of a sudden that became a fucking hit. Sold 100 million copies. Went over platinum, double platinum overnight. All of a sudden it's playing on the radios, it's on the internet. You walk up the street, you go down the street, you get on a school bus, somebody bumping motherfucking Eminem. And you're like, who the fuck is this guy? It's Eminem, man. One song. And one day, everybody knows who the hell Eminem is. And people like Mariah Carey mad because she put out her best album and it gets ignored because Eminem's here. Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera like, I put out a good album and it gets ignored because it's Eminem. And Fred Durst is shaking his head because I work my ass off and they're talking about Eminem. I mean, it was that time period in the 1990s. He came around 98, 99, creeped in there, and we just fell in love with Eminem. He gave us, cause I'm a criminal. Yeah, you goddamn right. Every time I say what's on my mind, people think I'm a criminal. Every time I run, just crying and keeping it, cause I'm a criminal. He made Cause the Way I Am. I mean, Eminem was making some songs that originated with your childhood. I mean, you ain't never had no rapper come in the game and remind you of Tupac, rap hard on the mic like he Biggie Smalls, but at the same time come with a new sound that you ain't never heard before, and then say, "Yeah, that shit happened to me when I was a kid. Damn, this dude's the real shit." He naming off shit that only I would remember when I was a kid. I mean, Eminem was so controversial that he would just say some shit and everyone would just get all offended and then they all in their feelings. Like when he said, "Now you wonder why it's a tragedy. Now it's so sad to see every time when we have a school shooting, Eminem say this shit and they be like, you know you can't put that shit in your songs." And Eminem be telling the studios, "I do whatever the fuck I want." And when he was describing how difficult it was for him to get signed at Sony, get signed at Interscope Records, he just telling all the fucking politics. And you know how some people are when you start telling the secrets of an studio exec studios, they be like, "Oh man, somebody got to call this man. This man doing too much." So he had 2 albums. Then he put out a 3rd album. And then Eminem does 8 Mile and we get a movie soundtrack, and this shows he can act. Like, okay, he's not the world's greatest actor, but he can act. To have to go back to the beginning of when you were broke and poor and have to show that on camera, it takes a lot of guts to do that. Eminem does it. And when he did the 8 Mile soundtrack, he had just put out back-to-back albums. He had just done Slim Shady, where he took the first album and retitled it. So he now had 5 albums now. I mean, you could say 4, or you could say the movie soundtrack makes it 5. He had 5 albums. Then Eminem has some legal trouble, like most rappers, fighting with his wife, back and forth, and assault and battery. And then, he couldn't see his daughter. And then he had to go on TV talk shows. And, that wasn't easy to deal with. Eminem took we all could agree that 2001 was not his very good year. And we all agree that 2002 was a comeback year. Eminem came back and started dressing up as Robin and as Superman and called himself Superman. 2002 was his comeback year. So he put out album number 6. And then, he did some songs with Akon, and creeping in my shadow, I'm gonna grip me to leave me in my Lamborghini. Now we can kick it just like Tybo. Chicks on Smack, smack that, give me some more. Hit that on the dance floor, smack that, give me some more. Oh, yeah, I know my words and melody beats kind of fucked up, but he did songs with Akon. He did songs with Snoop. He did songs with Dre, 50 Cent, The Game. Turn around and do songs with Usher. Turn around and do a song with Jay-Z. Every time you turn around, Eminem doing collaboration songs with artists. First he dissed Lil Wayne, then he do a song with Lil Wayne. You're like, what the fuck? Turn around, you diss the Birdman, you do a song with the Birdman. Every time you turn around, he would do a song with your favorite artists. Or the vast majority of them. By the time we get to 2010, early 2011, he put out another album. You see him wearing overalls with a chainsaw and a mask on and shit, and you're like, oh shit, Eminem coming back. Put out another album, got 7 albums. And then he takes a nice little break, come back, put out album number 8. So he's put out 8 albums at this point, and I'm pretty sure they're going to have an Eminem Greatest of All Times album with all his songs and pop out album number 9 when you're not expecting it. So Eminem's been everywhere. He's been in television. He's been in film. He's worked with all the artists you possibly could think of. And just when you think he can't think of nothing creative, he'd come back and surprise the hell out of you. And you could never tell when Eminem is done rapping. You could never tell when he's done with anything. Because just when you think he's finished, he comes at you with something else you don't expect. When he did that song called War with 50 Cent. And we ain't gonna forget that he likes to pull pranks. When he battle rapped LL Cool J, and LL was at a radio station, and Eminem called the radio station and battle rapped LL Cool J. He showed that he could compete with you whether you're in your prime or kind of past your prime. And that shows that on a level, Eminem can compete with today's artists. So just when people think Eminem's finished, he always come back with something else. Now, who is the most logical rapper here? Who is the most real rapper? Now, I would say Nas in his prime would most definitely beat Eminem. Eminem in his prime, with no question, will beat Nas on the mic. Now, the Nas we see today is not in his prime, but he will give you a run for your money and surprise you. The Eminem we see today is not in his prime, but the Eminem back then would beat Nas. So I say by a slight little tab of an edge, not too big of a margin, that Nas would come close to beating Eminem in bars, lyrics, storytelling, but Eminem still would edge him out by one bar, because Eminem will take some shit that you wouldn't expect and rap about it, and you'd be like, this guy rapped about going to a car dealership and talking about aliens from outer space. Like, Eminem would just take anything that come to his mind and just rap that shit out, and you wouldn't have an answer for it. And if you had an answer for it, you wouldn't be able to come up with it faster and quick enough to stop him. So the winner here is Eminem. Now, I know some people might agree. I know some people might say bullshit, but I'm just telling you from my realistic point of view. Until then, peace.